There is a moment that exists in every art form that is impossible to explain. Not technically impossible, not beyond understanding in any scientific sense, but impossible in the way that certain things simply refuse to be accounted for by the sum of their parts. You can describe every decision that was made, every tool that was used, every material that was involved, and at the end of the description, the thing itself still refuses to be explained. This sculpture is that moment. It stands in a single room in the Galleria Borghese in Rome. A room designed specifically to hold it, oriented so that the first thing you see when you walk through the door is exactly what Bernini intended you to see. Two figures, a young man reaching forward, his hand almost touching the shoulder of a young woman who is pulling away from him. Her mouth is open, her hair streams behind her, her arms are raised, and she is turning into a tree, not symbolically, not metaphorically. The bark is already climbing her legs. Her fingers are becoming branches, leaves are erupting from her outstretched hands. Her feet are dissolving into roots that grip the ground beneath her. All of it is marble. Every leaf, every strand of hair, every piece of bark climbing a human leg is the same solid block of Carrara stone as the ground they stand on. The sculpture is called Apollo and Daphne. It was carved by Gian Lorenzo Bernini between 1622 and 1625. Bernini was 23 years old when he began it. The story it depicts comes from Ovid's Metamorphoses. Apollo, the god of the sun, pursued the nymph Daphne against her will. As he reached her, she cried to her father, the river god Peneus, to destroy her form rather than allow Apollo to take her. The transformation was instantaneous. Bark enclosed her body. Her arms became branches. Her hair became leaves. Apollo reached her at the exact moment she ceased to exist. Bernini chose to carve that exact moment. Not the pursuit, not the aftermath. The instant of transformation itself, when Daphne is simultaneously human and tree, simultaneously present and gone. Begin with the bark, because that is where the impossibility begins. It starts at the feet, at the toes, which are already roots, already dissolving into the ground in a way that suggests not transformation but completion, as though this is what the feet were always becoming. The bark climbs the calves in ridges that follow the natural contour of muscle beneath skin, hard and organic simultaneously. The stone shifting texture within the same continuous surface, from flesh to wood in a transition so gradual and so precise that the exact line where one ends and the other begins cannot be found. Your eye searches for it. There is no line. There is only marble becoming something else. By the thighs, the bark has consumed the lower body entirely. By the torso, it has begun to claim the ribs, and Daphne's expression, her face still fully human, still fully present, caught between what she is and what she is already becoming, carries something that marble has no right to be able to hold. Now look at the hands. Each finger is a separate branch. Not carved to suggest branches, carved as branches with individual leaves emerging from the tips, each leaf thin enough that light passes through the stone differently on either side of it. Some of these leaves measure only a few millimeters at their thinnest point. Marble at that thickness is not fragile in the way glass is fragile. It is fragile in a way that has no adequate comparison. A vibration, a variation in temperature, a flaw in the stone invisible to any eye. Any of these at any point during the carving would have destroyed what Bernini was building. Not damaged it, destroyed it. There is no repair for a broken marble leaf when the leaf is part of a hand that is part of an arm, that is part of a figure, that is part of a single block. he carved them anyway. Every one of them, working from the outside inward, removing material that could never be replaced, from stone that could not be retested or reapproached. The leaves are still there. The hair is a separate problem entirely. Daphne's hair streams behind her as she runs, caught mid-motion, each strand following the implied direction of movement. In marble, hair of this kind, individual strands, lifted and separated and flowing, requires the sculptor to work in 3 dimensions simultaneously, undercutting each strand to lift it free from the mass, calculating how the weight of the stone will distribute through forms too thin to support themselves by any conventional logic. Bernini solved it not through conventional logic, but through an understanding of how stone distributes stress that was, at 23, beyond what most sculptors achieve in a lifetime. The hair does not fall. It has not fallen in 400 years. Cardinal Scipione Borghese, who commissioned the work, understood almost immediately that what Bernini had made would require justification. A pagan myth, depicting a god in pursuit of a woman, frozen at the moment of her transformation, placed in a private cardinal's collection, visible to guests, requiring explanation to the church authorities whose approval governed everything. The cardinal's solution was an inscription placed at the base of the sculpture. A Latin couplet, written by the poet Maffeo Barberini, who would later become Pope Urban VIII. It reads, roughly, "Those who pursue fleeting pleasures are left holding leaves and bitter berries." The moral had been supplied. The sculpture had been made acceptable. Whether Bernini required the moral or considered it entirely beside the point is not recorded. What is recorded is that he never returned to the subject, never attempted the transformation theme again, and spent the rest of his career, a career that produced some of the most celebrated works in the history of Western art, never quite reaching the same moment of pure physical impossibility that this sculpture represents. There is a specific detail that most visitors to the Galleria Borghese miss because they are looking at Daphne, Apollo's face. He has caught her. His hand is on her shoulder, or nearly on it, his fingers almost touching the bark that is already claiming her. He is at the end of the pursuit, the destination reached, the moment he has been moving toward finally arrived. And his expression is not triumph. It is the expression of someone watching something disappear at the exact moment they arrive to find it, reaching and losing in the same instant, the thing already gone in the moment of its capture. Bernini carved the consequence of the pursuit into the face of the pursuer and made it as legible as the transformation climbing the body of the pursued. 2 stories in one block, 2 impossibilities in one sculpture. The bark, the leaves, the hair, the expression, all of it from a single block of stone. All of it from a 23-year-old with a chisel. Some things do not need to be explained. They only need to be stood in front of.